Okay, this is the next part of rounding. We've already rounded to the leading number, and let's review that. I'm rounding to the nearest thousands place, so I know I have 5,000, but I'm wondering, is the rest of the amount in this number enough to call this 6,000, or should I keep it at 5,000? And I see that there's 748. What's halfway to 1,000? 500. I don't have, oh, actually I have more than 500 here, so I can round it up and call this is close or around 6,000. Now let's take the same number, but let's try to round to the nearest hundredths this time. So I'm going to find the hundredths place in my number, locate it, and then I have to say, okay, how many hundredths do I have already in this number? And a lot of kids will just say, oh, there's just 7 hundredths. But wait a minute, how many hundredths does it take to make this 5,000? Because that's in our number too. We're considering the part after the place where we're rounding. That's what gives us the idea of whether to keep it the same or round it up. But I have to consider how much is in the number to begin with. So I have 5,700. How many hundredths? I know there's 7 hundredths there, but how many hundredths did it take to make this 5,000? Well, I know it takes 10 hundredths to make 1,000. So it must 20 hundredths to make 2,000, 30 hundredths to make 3,000, 40 hundredths to make 4,000, 50 hundredths would make 5,000. So I already have 57 hundredths in this number. So I tell you that because a lot of times kids just leave this part off and they'll say that 5,748 is close to 700. And that's not close at all because they have forgotten all of the amount that comes before the place where you're rounding to. So let's round this one. I already have 5,700, but I'm wondering if I can round it and say I had 800, or would I keep it at 5,700? So I have 5,700, I have 48 more. Is that halfway to another group of 100? No. So I'm going to have to keep this at 700, which makes sense. It's 5,700 and not quite another half of 100. So I have to keep it and round it and say that it is close to 5,000, plain old 700. Okay, so you have to be very careful to include this amount in your rounded number. Let's take this same number, and this time we'll round it to the nearest tens. So how many tens are already in this number? Some kids would say 4, but you know better than that. You know that all of this is part of the number that you have. You have actually 574 tens, which means you have 5,740. Am I halfway to making another group of 10? What is halfway to making another group of 10? 50. 5. Oh, 50. 5. And I have more than 5. So I can say that this would round up and I can call that 50 because 48 is really close to 50. So this would round to 5,750. And I look back at my original number and I make sure that they're close, that they really are around the same amount. These are around the same amount and these are around the same amount. So you look to see what a value you have already up to the point where you're rounding to, and then you check next door to see if you are halfway to having another group of 10. Are you halfway to having another group of 100? Are you halfway to having another group of 1,000? And that's how you determine whether you keep the value the same or you're going to round up and give it one more of the place value place that you're rounding to. So give that a try.